All right, guys. Welcome to Q Sports Live International Pool League Q&A. Let me change our camera. I am one of your hosts, Grant, sitting beside socially distant, the one and only Mr. Ben Francis.
What's going on, everyone?
So, purpose of this, usually we have a bunch of pool games going on and things happening behind us. However, this is a little bit more of an intimate setting. We're live from my basement. First time.
You don't have like a special name for your basement,
I don't, unfortunately.
like
The Zemp basement. I don't know.
no.
I'll let the viewers decide on what that could be.
That's the first poll.
Q Sports Live headquarters.
CSL headquarters.
CSL headquarters. There we go. We're live from CSL headquarters. There we are. So we're going to do a little bit more of an in-depth, intimate look into the Q Sports Live International Pool League. Do a lot of Q&As. Any questions that you guys have, we'll go over some talking points, and we'll try to work our way through this. And hopefully by the end of this, you're all informed, and let's get into it.
Yeah. We got lots of stuff to go over, guys.
Yeah, we do.
And at some point, you guys can watch me play a rack against the Ghost 8-ball, and I'll show you guys 8-ball and 10-ball, just one rack each, so you guys can get an idea of the scoring.
Indeed. So first things first, with the Q Sports Live International Pool League, welcome, of course. Something that we've put a lot of thought, time, effort, at least up into this point. Still lots to go, but we haven't approached this lightly. This is something that we want to do the right way. A lot of that is going to come from feedback from you all. So it is going to start with the Ghost League. That's kind of where we're going to focus most of the play for now, largely due to COVID, the different varying spots of being open or closed, availability of pool halls, not pool halls. But we wanted to have a way for everybody to be competitive. It is open to everyone around the world. It is not restricted by what city you live in or what country you live in. It is open to anybody around the world, and we've got registration. Hopefully by the end of next week, we'll have the ability to start taking registrations. That will be done on the website. We should have that all done. Go ahead.
So we'll shoot for like around the 8th or 9th of December to start taking registrations.
Correct. And that'll all be done via the website. We're working on that right now. It's not launched. It's not live yet, but it certainly will be, hopefully by the end of next week. That will open up the ability to pay fees however need be, whether that's via email transfer, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, PayPal, so on and so forth.
And any currency, it auto converts the currency. So
yep. So divisions, we will have 4 divisions to start on the onset. The first division, it's going to be classed as Division 3 from 0 to 580 Fargo rate, and that is based on an established Fargo rating. And then Division 2 would be 581 to 639. Again, with an established Fargo rating. Both of those divisions will play 15 games per night. And then Division 1 is going to be 640 to 719. Those will play 20 games per night. And then, of course, the Pro Division on top of that at 720 plus. And again, playing 20 games per night. Now, we do want to add the juniors division as well. Juniors would be a little bit different than any of the other divisions because there's no money involved with the junior play. But we are trying to get it to the point where we can add different prizes, cues, cases, so on and so forth for the junior division. If there is enough interest in the junior division, we will consider running that as of the 4th of January.
if there's not enough interest, then juniors can, as play in whatever Fargo division
they can go to
the
as
well. So.
Yeah, they can play in the 0 to 580.
Assuming they're 0 to 580. There's some monster junior players out there that are probably like Grant Semp speed.
Some of them can beat me.
A lot of them can beat all of us.
Yes. So how do you get established in these times? Question from Cole on Facebook.
Good question, Cole.
Very, very good question. So there's a couple of things that we're looking at. If you do not have currently an established Fargo rate, you would start in Division 2, which would be the 581 to 639 Fargo rate. And then you can either work your way up or down from there. One of the things that we are working with Mike Page currently, it's not a done deal as of yet. Some of the things that we're working on, it may be available for Session 1, may not be. But for those that don't have an established Fargo rating, we are looking at a league-specific Fargo rate. And then once we get back to what would be considered normal around the world, it makes it much easier to transition into an actual Fargo rate. So it's a discussion that's ongoing. It's details that we're trying to work out right now. If we can get it done in time for the start of Session 1, we will. We'll make that announcement. But up until that point, if you don't have an established Fargo rating, that's where your start would be, is in the 581 to 639 division.
And the reason for that is we don't want to start unknown players on the lower level. We want to start unknown players in the middle, and then you can work your way up or down. But to start them on the lower level seems unfair.
I would agree. Yeah. Linnell, would there be a women's or just unisex? I can tell you off the start, it would probably be just unisex at this point, based on Fargo. Yeah. However, as the league grows and as we get more members, it opens up the possibilities for us to kind of drill down even further than what we are. We could do country specific, we can do city specific, we can do unisex. We do want to bring in all of the games, 8-ball, 9-ball, 10-ball, one pocket, so on and so forth. But at least on the onset, we kind of want to have a trial run, if you want to call it that, and kind of see your reaction, get your feedback on how we can make things better. At the end of the day, that's what it's about, is we want to make the members of our league ultimately happy with how things are going. So on the onset, it would be unisex to start, and then we can drill further down from there, depending on the number of players.
How much robustness is required for Fargo rate? We're not 100% sure. We can look into exactly what established is, but we're pretty sure it's around 100 games. Mm-hmm. So if you have less than 100, you're not established.
And typically when you look up your own name within Fargo rate, it will tell you whether you have an established Fargo rating or a non-established Fargo
Which is still free to look up. You guys can go to the website, look up your Fargo.
Yeah.
As far as established league rating, I explained this to a player a couple days ago. The problem is within your league, we don't know who you're playing. You could be a 10 average in a league, but playing, let's say, not very good players, so you win every game.
Right.
Which doesn't give us an idea of how you play.
Yeah, it really doesn't translate when you're talking about different leagues. Be it APA, TAP, SML, CCS. The numbers just don't correlate. They don't necessarily translate back. So again, if you don't have that established Fargo rating, that's where you would start in Division 2 and kind of take things from there. And you'll either earn your way up or down from there.
So somebody says 200 games is established.
There we go.
So if you're under 200 games, you're unestablished Fargo, you're going to be put in the middle division.
Yeah.
So we're kind of assuming you play around a 610 Fargo, and then you can adjust up and down from there. Mm-hmm. But we're saying you play anywhere between a 580 and a 640, more or less.
Yeah. And then from there, all information regarding, the game rules, rack settings, camera angles, all of these specific details of how everything will be done will be available on that website. Once we have that up and running, we'll post that on the Q Sports Live page, the other page that we've created specifically for the league. So all information will be there And if you do have questions, even after this broadcast is done, certainly feel free to send us a message on the Q Sports Live Facebook page. If you're watching on YouTube and you don't have Facebook, you can send us an email, qsportslive@gmail.com, and we'll certainly get back to you. But we'll have, again, a lot of information coming out here, hopefully this week, as we kind of firm things up and get things accomplished on our end. So, again, a lot of work up until this point, which is why we're not getting into, not at least tonight, on what league fees would be. We've got an idea of what they would be. However, we do have to go through and run the analytics on what our costs are to not only collect money, but then to pay it out, and just kind of figure out where all of that stands, what we need to do in order to be successful with it. So all of that information hopefully will be done by the end of this week as well.
We'd like some feedback from you guys as well, as far as like how much would you like to pay? Because I feel like at the high level they're going to want to pay higher fees. The lower level they're going to want to pay lower fees. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, this league is all about what you guys want.
Correct.
We want every player to be happy, which we know is not possible. Mm-hmm. So we're going to just shoot for the majority, make the majority of players happy.
Yeah. Are the divisions capped or open to as many players as what signs up? At this point, we're going to open it right up. Doesn't matter how many players are within that division. For the first run of our league, we don't want to have a restriction. It means a bigger prize pool. It means a bigger pot, so on and so forth. So yes, at this point, there is no cap on the number of people in each division.
Ideally, we have massive divisions.
Ideally,
and this was
sure.
Half of the reason we're coming up with this is like pool needs a big injection of paydays.
I agree.
For players.
They're and not at all levels.
At every level.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even low fees, if there was like 1,000 players in a division, the prize pool can be massive.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge.
Yeah. And we'll kind of speak a little bit to what our thoughts are with the prize pool, at least for Division 3, Division 2. It's going to change when you get to Division 1 and into the pros. But for Division 3 and Division 2, the thought process is this: whatever the prize pool ends up being, the top 25% of the finishers at the end of that session, 70% of the prize pool would go and get divided up to those top 25%. 10% of the total prize pool gets paid out weekly with high stats, high runs, however we want to divide that up.
Yeah, bonuses.
And then the remaining 75% of the players that didn't make it into the top 25% will still get paid a portion because there's 20% left over, and that's where that 20% would be paid out to, is, however deep we want to go within those 75%.
And ultimately, depending on the division, you guys can have a lot of say in those payouts. We want to just make sure, because I'm sure at the highest division, they're going to be fine with only 25% of people getting paid.
Which is why I stated, Division 3, Division 2, that would be there. That is going to change, and more than likely will change in Division 1 and then again into the pro side.
And we'd love your guys' input on that, especially, just so we can make sure everybody's on the same page and happy with what we're doing.
Yep. What's going on, Ryan Pittman? How are you? How's everybody?
Somebody asked a ways back, how do you play? What's the scoring for the Ghost? I know Grant kind of went over it quick. Details will be to come, but it's pretty basic. I mean, when you play the Ghost, you get ball in hand on the opening shot. If you miss, you lose the game. But the way we'll do it is with a point system. So if you miss the opening shot, you get 0 points.
Correct.
Every other ball is worth 1 point. The 8 ball is worth 3 if you're playing an 8-ball Ghost game.
Yeah.
If you're playing 10 ball, it's very simple. There's 10 balls, 1 point for each ball, and a maximum of 10.
Yeah.
And then you just keep a running total.
Yeah. So chances are we will have one of 2 league systems that we're looking at. So a lot of it is going to be, you guys putting in your own data. I'll speak a little bit to how the functionality works. When you are playing a match and you go live on your personal Facebook page, and then you would share that feed, whether it's through Facebook or YouTube. You share that onto either the YouTube page or the Q Sports Live page, and then you're all peer reviewed. So we want to have it where, it's open for our league members to be able to go and watch anytime for any match that anybody is playing, have it reviewed. If there are any, discrepancies in scoring and what have you, really it's a message to us. We do the final review and then we make the final judgment call.
So lots of good questions about table size divisions. Absolutely. We're not going to go into pocket size because then we're just trusting that people told us the proper
There's no way
measurements.
for us to police that.
Right. So we can't measure your table from the camera, but we can certainly do 7-foot divisions will be one division, and then we're just going to do 8-foot plus. So if you play on an 8-foot or a 9-foot or a 10-foot, that's all one division.
Correct.
But 7-foot will be its own division.
Yeah.
Grant,
and a lot
Grant
of that,
and I have done a lot of research,
yeah.
watched a lot of ghost tournaments. The biggest complaint is the table size.
Yes.
Guys playing on a shim 9-foot can never beat the player playing on a bucket valley.
Yes. Now again, as the league grows and we have, an increased number of members, we can further kind of devise down into that and go from a 7-foot league or a 7-foot division and an 8-foot division, a 9-foot division, and then you can break it out by table, be it Valley, be it Diamond, be it Rasson, what have you. But in order to really kind of have all of those different segments within the league, you have to have quite a few league members in order to support those segregations.
Yeah, for the start, we just want to do 7-foot and 8-foot plus, and hopefully get a lot of players in every division, have big prize pools, and you guys can win some money from home.
Which is good.
What could be better than
right?
Play at home and then we just send you a check one day, right?
Or e-transfer, however we're going to come up with that.
Could be a PayPal transfer or something.
Could, very well could be. Yeah. So I want to speak a little bit to session length. The first session, we're hoping that we can get it off the ground and run the week starting January 4th. The final week will be played April 12th. That would be session number 1, session number 2 running May 3rd to August 9th, session number 3 August 30th to December 13th. So a 2-week time lapse in between each session that lets us reset Fargo rates and so on and so forth, and kind of go from there.
Another good point. Sean Yee thinks he's bringing up 12-foot, he says. No one's going to play 8-ball on a 12-foot.
No.
Unless you want to, Sean Yee, but I don't like your chances. But I mean, eventually maybe we could have a snooker division. Like
potentially,
we want to open it as much as we can, but snooker is definitely going to be a very small division to start.
Yep. It would be because you look here in Calgary, and I'm sure there's other areas where snooker's not as popular. There's really not a lot of snooker tables within the city. So again, as we grow with the league and the league size, that's where we can start adding different games, different elements, different divisions, so on and so forth. So, but right here, right now, we do want to stick with playing the Ghost, with different areas of the country being open or closed, having the availability of going to a pool hall or not. We feel it's up until the point where that's all kind of in the rear view mirror and there's no worries about things getting shut down again. We feel it's the best foot to put forward to start.
It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. You got that right, Shane, sorry.
Yeah, Rod, with a good compliment. We appreciate it, Rod. A league for players, created and ran by players. Sounds like a great thing for pool players, indeed. And I won't go into specific details, but I mean we've got plans even beyond what this is and what we're going over. But we have to start at the beginning, and that's where we're at right now. We do have, and I put this up throughout the 580 tournament. Obviously, with Jam Up Apparel, we've come up with our own league shirts. Those will be available as well. It's kind of the inaugural kickoff for our league. We're excited about it. We're excited to see where it can go. We do want a ton of feedback from you guys so that we can make this thing the best that it can be.
Another good question from Tyson there. These games could not be reported to Fargo, so you'd need to work on establishing your Fargo outside of the league. First session, we're thinking not. So your games won't count towards your Fargo. Second session, we're hoping you have a league specific Fargo that will change with your games every week.
Well, and it may very well be, and again, I don't want to go into too much detail because it is something that we're talking about, whether we can have it where the ghost does affect Fargo rating. I know right now that's not a possibility. I've had conversations with Mike Page, but those that are in the remote areas or remote towns that don't have the luxury of having a league that reports to Fargo, you're kind of left out. We want to make this thing 100% inclusive, and if we have to start at the beginning and have league specific Fargo rates, then it's a step in the right direction, and who knows where technology and where things go from there.
Royce brings up a good point too. He's got an evil doppelganger. So like when you guys register for the league, we'll have all the specifics, but the basic idea is like we need a picture of you holding your ID.
Yep.
And the second you get caught cheating, you're out forever. Like it's done.
And that's,
you don't get refunded your fees. It's game over.
Yeah, and it's one thing that we don't want to have to take a harsh line, but we will if there's any kind of cheating or any of that going on. Those that are attempting that are going to find out real quick that it's just not tolerable, because it's not fair to the 99.99% of everybody else that is trying to do things properly and do it the right way and do things in the way that it should be done. So when it does come down to that, rest assured, guys, we will look after those situations.
Yeah, like people are saying they have twins, it's we're hoping you guys are going to be really honest.
Yeah. And if there's ever a situation where, a twin is playing for a twin and somehow we find out about that, that's it. That's all.
Yeah, you're toast. Instantly toast. Mark brings up a good point too. Are you going to allow combos on the 10 ball or 9 ball? Because it's like however many points you get, let's say you're playing 10 ball, you couldn't combo the 10 and get all 10 points. If you combo the 10 stays down. You shoot the rest of the balls still.
Yeah.
It'll just count as another ball.
Yep.
So you can.
Or you end your scoring at that point. Again, these are things that we have to discuss on that, right? So if I run out from playing the 10 ball and I run out from the 1 to the 4 and there's a 5-10 combination, if I take that 5-10 combination, I only get 5 points.
No, I think you just keep shooting after.
Yeah?
10 stays down, you shoot the rest of the balls in rotation as if the 10 was in there.
Okay.
It's kind of like a 10 ball raffle draw.
Gotcha.
If you're playing per ball, you get paid out. But if you combo in the 10, it doesn't spot up because now you got an extra ball. You could shoot for another $100 or whatever.
Correct.
It just stays down and you just keep shooting the rest of the balls.
Yeah.
More or less the scoring for 8 ball, I think, is going to be a lot easier for you guys because it's league scoring. So it's like every ball is a point and the 8 ball's worth 3 for a max of 10. I think we're going to use BCA rules.
Yeah.
So it'll be like, it's pretty simple because you get ball in hand off the break.
Yeah, and again, the rules may change depending on which division. The Division 3 and 2 may have different rules because they're playing a different game than Division 1 or the Pro Division, right? So it really depends on which division you're playing, but chances are we're going to follow your guys' lead. Ultimately, at the end of the day,
yeah.
If you want to play BCA or VNEA or world rules, whatever rules you guys want to see, we'll certainly take that into consideration.
And Pete brings up a good point. He says, "Wish I was over there. I want to play." Pete, this is
play
worldwide. If you got a table, you don't even have to own a table. If you can find somebody who has a table that'll let you play 15 games a week,
yep, you're in.
Send it. And another great thing about this league that we didn't bring up yet is you have 7 days to play your match every week.
Yes.
You can play Monday. You can play Sunday night. I don't care.
Yep.
We don't care when you play, as long as your games are recorded
within that week.
within that week.
So
And we're not going to make really any exceptions for late
no,
games
no.
because it just becomes too much of a headache. We're going to have
Well, and I mean, you got an entire week to find time within that week to play. Now, again, we may have to make exceptions for some of the pros if they're in an event or whatever for that week. Then we've got to make exceptions.
Yeah.
But for my speed and Division 3 and 2 and so on and so forth, we're not going to say you have to play Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. It's open. You play that week whenever you have the time to do it. Record your match. It must be live, right? Very, very key important thing. The match that you submit must be live. It must be shared on your personal page as well as to the Q Sports Live Pool League page. A key important thing, but that's kind of how we're gonna roll. We're not gonna tell you what day and what time you need to play. It's open to anybody, anytime, anywhere.
As long as your video says it's live, that's it. Do we require all games to be played at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah, you couldn't play 5 games today, 5 games tomorrow, 5 games Tuesday.
Yeah.
For your 15 games, you need to play them all at once. You could, maybe something comes up and you need to have a half an hour break for some reason, emergency. So you play 5 games. Now you got to go run out and come back half an hour later. That's fine. 2 live videos consisting of your 15 games in the same day within reason.
So long as you're not breaking within a game.
Exactly.
Right? You cannot stop the feed in the middle of a game. Finish out that game, take care of your emergency, what have you, come back and play the rest of the set.
Like Sean Yee was saying, in Chill's 9-ball league, when you combo in the 9-ball, it's over. That's not how it's going to be in this league.
Correct.
You combo in the ball, it stays down, you keep shooting because it's a points-based game.
Yeah.
And I would hate to see somebody figure out a rack where they line up an early combo every game. They shoot 1 ball and they combo in 10 times, right?
And as far as rules, the rules will be written down. As I mentioned when we kicked this broadcast off, all information containing the rules, the rack, and how it's supposed to be set, we will have that worked out so that you can't pull Corey Duel and do pattern racking or any of that kind of stuff. We'll have it set for each session. It will change. So we'll have the rack, we'll have the camera, we'll have all of the rules for each different division. We'll have all of that available both on the Q Sports Live Facebook page as well as the new website. And if you're just joining in, guys, the new website should be ready here by, fingers crossed, the end of the week.
So just a couple of quick questions on the YouTube. Shirley wants to know what percentage of the fees go to administration, or does it depend on how large the league is? Admin fees will be the same all across the board. It doesn't matter how many players we get. We're not going to be like, oh, we only got 50 instead of 100, so you guys are going to pay double.
Yeah.
we won't do that.
Yeah, and that was, I'll speak a little bit to that too, because it was something that was brought up earlier, or I brought it up myself, but part of the reason why we're not getting into fees and those costs yet is I'm still running and doing an analytics on what our costs are. So we will be very open. We will be very, very transparent in the fact that there is a cost involved in putting this thing on. So there's a cost to receive money. There's a cost to send money. I've got to run through all of those analytics, figure out what that's going to be so that we can set the appropriate rates of what we need in order to make this thing work and function.
So that pretty much answers Corey Arcan's question there about registration fee and weekly dues. We'll have that released in the next week.
Yep.
Each division will be different because I'm certain that in the lower divisions they don't want to play for as much. In the higher divisions they're probably going to want to play for a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. Maybe we pull the lower division and they're all those guys who paid the $500 entry into that tournament, and that's what they want to do, right?
Yeah. And ultimately, at the end of the day, like we said when we first started the broadcast, this is kind of us throwing the hat into the ring and kind of gauging based on feedback where we need to be, where we need to go. We don't profess to to say that we know everything, that we're the pros at this. We're willing to listen to our members, to the people that do want to play and play under our roof. We will listen to you. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a combination of feedback that we get versus functionability. And if we can find a way to marry those and make them, what's the word I'm looking for? Harmonist?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. That's the way it'll kind of go. We won't profess to be ready for every single aspect of everything on the first session, but I think you all know us well enough by now that if there are issues, if there are things that need to be corrected, believe me, we'll be on top of it, and we'll fix whatever needs to be fixed. So we gotta start somewhere, and this is us. This is us throwing the hat in the ring, and we're gonna obviously try to put our best foot forward. And a lot of that'll be based on the feedback that we get from you guys.
Yeah, we definitely need the feedback. And first session, like Grant said, it's probably not going to be perfect.
That's right. Yeah.
But and somebody said in the YouTube, sounds like a logistical nightmare to me. It is.
It is, and
but we've put a lot of thought into it, and we're going to put a lot of hard work into making this work.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I said right from the beginning that there's already been an astronomical amount of work that we've all put in on this side of the camera in figuring out those logistics and figuring out the small details of how we need to work in order to make this thing function. But it's also one of the exciting things, because I think we would be among one of the first not to do Ghost, right? The Ghost has been around for a while. But to open up the logistics of being able to do this and play against people around the world.
Yeah, and like somebody else had a question, I think it was Joshi, said, so you need to have a table. And that's not necessarily true. You don't need to own your own table. If you have a friend's house that you can go to, but when the pool hall is open, I'm hoping people go in the pool hall with their tripod. Have a fancy little $15 tripod here. You can just set it up on the table at the pool hall and play the Ghost in the pool hall.
Yeah. So long as the camera angle is sufficient enough that we get an unobstructed view of what it is that you're doing, and we don't care where you play.
And there's going to be the odd shot where maybe we can't see. If it's a crucial point in the rack, we're going to contact whoever it is, tell them you got to replay the rack.
Yeah.
And
you'll be able to tell too, right? Your body motion, the way that you shoot. We've watched enough video and commented enough, or done enough commentary that we can tell if within your body movement you're attempting to move a frozen ball, or do a breakout with your elbow or whatever.
If you guys want to try to pull one over on me, good luck. I watch a lot of pool, and the other thing is I know a lot of you players quite well, but I'm fairly certain a lot of these players are honest.
100%. And those are the players that we want to build the league around.
Exactly.
We're not naive enough to think that everybody out there is going to be that way, but it's a very small percentage. That percentage will get dealt with and handled fairly quickly.
Yeah. Are we going to play? Somebody asked too. Yeah, absolutely. I know for sure I'll play. I'm sure Grant,
of course.
Grant will too.
Of course. I got my table right here.
You guys can see Grant's beautiful valley back there, which brings up our next point about sanction, which is something we are really pushing and working on.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of work to do there. I've kind of taken the reins on the potential. I won't say at this point whether it's high or low, but it is something that we're working on. Is sanctioning. With a few different governing bodies, but there's a lot of details, that go on behind the scenes, and those details need to be worked out. And as soon as I can possibly make those sanctioning things happen, we will.
Patrick wants to know if we're going to offer online individual instruction analysis for players.
Yes,
we have two fantastic players going to do that for you, Patrick.
Can I be the one to spill it?
Yeah, one of them may or may not be named.
Of course, I'm going to name them both. So, as I mentioned, there's been a lot of conversation and a lot of things that I've done behind the scenes, a lot of conversations leading up to this point. And at this point, we do have two players that will represent the Q Sports Live League. The first one really doesn't need a lot of introduction because he's sitting right beside me. He's the man with the plan. It's Mr. Ben Francis himself. He will represent the Q Sports Live Pool League in Canada. You can bet your bottom dollar we'll be promoting him. He does give lessons now, going to try to find a way to do that virtually as well.
Yeah, I haven't started the virtual yet, but it's definitely coming down.
It's on the way.
Pretty
And just
quick,
so
yeah.
just so everybody knows, Ben is a certified instructor.
Instructor,
right?
yeah.
And obviously, you've seen him play a few times on the live stream, so you know what his capabilities are. So certainly, Ben will take care of Canada. The other gentleman in the States, again, not a guy that needs really any introduction.
You guys probably know him because they talk about him a lot
Yeah,
nowadays.
you'll know his name, the one and only Tyler Steyer. He's going to represent Q Sports Live Pool League in the U.S. Again, same thing. He's got his lessons and so on and so forth, virtual as well as in-house. That you guys will, every member of the league will have access to. That'll be at a discounted rate with our members, as opposed to just going to either one of them directly. It'll be at a discounted rate offered to our league members. So, and there's things on top of that also that we won't get into, not in this broadcast, but we want to put together a really big list of things that you have the availability of at discounted rates, whether that's pool cues, whether that's shirts, whether it's hats, hoodies, what have you. Lessons,
Yeah.
the whole works. And, that's an effort to kind of save a few bucks for you guys. So we are working on that diligently, believe me. But we're proud to have both Ben and Tyler on board representing the Q Sports Live International Pool League. We're excited about it. We're going to put a lot of work into this and hopefully make it good for you guys.
Tyler's going to give me a free 10-ball break lesson. I haven't talked to him about it yet, but I just want to break like 1/10 of how good he breaks in 10-ball. Royce wants to know if he can do his own commentary. You bring up a good point there, Royce, which is going to be background noise is going to be a big thing.
It really is. More specifically, music.
Your video will get most likely deleted, cut, gonzo if there's copyright.
Correct, which would be
music.
rather unfortunate, because if there is an instance where, for example, you're live, you're playing your match, there's background music, you submit your score, we go back to check the video's not there, the score is 0.
Yeah, your score can't count. At which point we'll let you replay the match.
For sure.
We're not going to be like, Gestapo where that's it, you're done, get out of here. But no, you'll be allowed to replay it. You'll have more or less one chance to replay the match.
Yeah. Now
My
that's it. That's
suggestion-
if it's deleted by either Facebook or YouTube.
Right.
If it's self-deleted, that tells me something fishy's
Yeah,
going
you're
on, and
on.
it's instant 0.
Yeah, you're on your own. You just didn't like the way you played, so you're going to try again. No.
Correct. Yeah. No.
And we do have the ability to see when it's deleted
Yes.
and who it's deleted by.
Yeah. Can I get lessons from Tyler over Ben? No offense, Ben. He has a Moscone Cup.
That's fair.
It is fair.
I have an Alberta Cup. No one knows what that is, but I have one.
I know what that is. I know what that is.
Does Tyler have a Charlie, though, like a gold Charlie
Right?
from VNEA?
Right? But so that's kind of where we're at. There's still a lot of work to be done. Again, we're hoping to kick off the first session for January 4th, and that'll run until from January 4th till April 12th. If you do the math, it's a 15-week session, 2-week break, 15-week session, 2-week break, and the final is also a 15-week session.
Shirley had a couple more questions on
Yeah,
there.
certainly.
What about playoffs? To start with the Ghost League, we're just going to do league season. Wherever you finish at the end of the season decides your payout. We're not going to do playoffs because playoffs more or less need to be monitored.
Mm-hmm. Well, and at this stage of the game, with COVID being what it is, it's really not even an option. Something that we have looked at. It's something that is potentially in the works. We'd have to get to the size that would warrant that. However, in doing things the way that we have or we are going to, this is what I like about the format that we're putting and proposing. Is typically when you go to league night, the general attitude is, oh, it's just league, it doesn't matter. However, in this one, because you are playing for your finishing spot at the end of the season or end of that session, every night counts. Every night counts. Every ball counts. That, in my opinion, that's how league should be played. That's how pool should be played.
Yep. And that's where we're pushing this is like, we know you guys are sitting around bored at home.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of research and I play the Ghost often. Like every time I practice, that's what I do. I play the Ghost. It builds pressure. Every ball is pressure.
Yep.
And we know you guys are just sitting around at home banging balls with no purpose.
Yeah.
This gives your practice purpose. I swear you guys will move up huge in your game by playing the Ghost every week.
Yeah.
I told Grant the same thing. I said, Grant, if you play 10 games 8-ball Ghost every week, you'll jump a level like
100%. Yeah. Well, and you kind of challenged me with that, and you're 100% correct. Because really, at the end of the day, I never used to play the Ghost, right? I would just come and do my drills and whatever I normally do. And you challenged me to play a race to 10 against the Ghost, and it does create that pressure. It does create that mindset going in that every ball matters, every shot matters, position matters. It really takes, every aspect of the game and sharpens up every different aspect of how you think about the game, right? That, to me, that's how pool should be played. Not just in the tournament that you go to on Friday night or, the 3-day tournament that you're going into or playoffs at the end of the year. If we're going to spend our time and efforts to play, then it should matter. Always.
Yeah, and if you watch like at the top level, these guys are loving this Ghost stuff.
Yeah.
Like
it keeps people sharp.
They've had a couple tournaments and guys like Tyler Steyer were like, man, I was feeling the pressure, like 1,000 people watching.
Yeah. And that's what we're hoping to. So, I mean, it does with the number of matches that are that will be happening all at one time. This is one other aspect that kind of just hit my brain here as well, that, as these matches are going live, we will pull one of those matches on a daily basis and broadcast that out on the Q Sports Live page. So you'll be the featured match.
Which would be awesome, because I can't wait to to watch some of those highlight videos of guys like Tyler running 10 packs and stuff,
Yeah.
A couple other questions. Shirley had another one. Do we have to make our Facebook public to stream our game? I don't think so, because I think...
Yeah, you can just go live direct
on
your own page, but then share it, and you can, even if you really wanted to, you can create your own private league page that you go live to,
right,
and then share it to the Q Sports Live Pool League
and
page.
The Q Sports Live Pool League page will be a private page.
Yes.
So the only people that are going to be watching your video are people who are part of the league.
Correct.
Minus,
it's not going, all over the world. Minus the ones that we pull, and we will be in contact with
for permission.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we'll have you guys sign off on it before we share it.
Guy Nicklin, is this just a Ghost League, or once all this COVID stuff is done, maybe go to a live league? Again, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. It's something that obviously we've looked at, something that we do have ambitions towards, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I want to concentrate really on what's in front of us, given the circumstances, given what we have to go through with COVID. Maybe when COVID is fully in the rearview mirror, without the potential of Calgary being shut down on Friday. Now they're saying maybe in December 15th we'll open up again, maybe not. There's so much uncertainty out there right now. I'd rather concentrate on what's to come when we have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
Right here, right now, this is the way that we know that we can get this thing done. open up the play to players, across the planet. That's where I get excited about it, because it's not just playing, the guys that I normally play with on a regular basis. It's really competition around the world.
Yeah, well, and that's huge, and we're just going to create like massive prize pools for you guys, right? I think that's going to be the biggest sell. And I've actually heard a lot of players that think that this is the future because there's no travel costs.
Hmm.
The biggest thing has been that pool payouts are not paying enough to cover your travel even, right?
Hmm.
We go to Vegas and we win the team event. It covers my room and it covers my flight, and that's about it,
Yeah.
right? So we win the tournament and I break even.
Hmm.
If I didn't have to travel, I didn't have to pay a flight and a hotel,
Yeah.
and I'm just pocketing all that cash, right?
Correct. Well, and
Which
it
is
opens up the ability for me. It's yes, there's money involved and there's potential to win money and so on and so forth. For myself, it's more the ability to sharpen my skills, make sure that every night when I go live for my session, that I understand and kind of put that pressure on myself. Every shot matters, every ball matters, every game matters, and really kind of push yourself to become almost robotic in that sense.
Yeah, you guys are
right.
You guys are going to be robots. You took the words right out of my mouth. All right, then we're turning these players into robots.
Yeah. Patrick Neal live leagues are a true logistical nightmare.
Oh yeah, they are.
They
too.
are, and we're certainly not going to deny that. We've had to scratch our heads and go back to the drawing board a few times. But this isn't something that we came up with overnight. We've put a lot of thought, a lot of energy, a lot of work, even just to get it to this point, right? And there's still work to be done. There's still things that we need to kind of put in place. But I think we're at the point now where we can go live starting January 4th and really have a lot of the bugs in the system kind of worked out. We're not going to profess that we, are going to have 100% of everything worked out as far as the logistical bugs, but you got to start somewhere.
And we're hoping that you guys just pick this apart.
Of course.
Just pick it apart. Tell us everything that could go wrong. Mm-hmm. Tell us all the ways that people could cheat. Tell us all.
Yeah.
We just want to hear it all, and we're just going to be prepared for everything. You know? And it's not going to be perfect first session, but we're going to get it close.
Yep.
And hopefully by the second session, we have everything ironed out so nice that it'll run smooth. Everybody will be happy. Prize payouts will be huge.
Yeah. Patrick, have you decided on a mechanism for paying fees, managing payouts, PayPal, for example? We have, and again, that'll all be released this week. That's going to be based on the website being done, and on that website, you'll have the availability of paying through PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, Amex. In Canada, you can email transfer. So we've got a lot of different options that we can bring to the table as far as how you can pay out and how we would then in turn pay you.
And we'll just mention again quick, if you guys are just tuning in and maybe you missed some of this, you can go back and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to send us any questions or concerns you have through.
Of course. Yeah, I would encourage you to go back. If you're just tuning in, I would encourage you to go back. There's a lot of answers, from start to finish, on kind of what our plans are, what our goals are, what we want to accomplish. And believe me, and I've said this so many times throughout the history of my time with Q Sports Live, believe me, this is just the start. This is just the beginning. And obviously Ben's privy to what's going on in my own brain because we sit and we discuss it. But believe me, there's a lot going on up here, and we have some pretty big lofty goals, and I will hit those goals.
We're trying to add structure to pool. Some unity. Maybe we can get everyone together playing in the same league instead of playing in 10 different leagues. That's only going to up the prize pool. It's going to up. We're hoping a lot of people see this.
100%. The more you guys can help us share this,
tell your friends about it.
The more people that get involved, the more successful it will definitely be.
The more sponsors are going to look at it, the more we can get, all kinds of extra things going on.
Mm-hmm. And believe me, we're doing this with the absolute best of intentions. And I know I probably speak for Ben as well, and I mentioned this even on the 580 and under. I have a reason and a purpose for doing everything that I do. I have two kids, and they're my biggest motivating factor. And I know, with Ben's son, it's the same for him, where when they grow up to the point where they couldn't choose to, play pool at a professional level, that it actually means something. And I know, again, I told you I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse, but I've thought all the way to that level. And we do have goals and ambitions and steps that we want to take in order to get to that level. And this is why I say, I've got a lot of big goals and a lot of ambition to accomplish what we want. This is, like I said, this is just the beginning of what it is we're looking to do. We hope you guys will get on board with us, share the heck out of this, send us as many questions, try to poke holes in what it is that we're doing, because the more feedback we get from you, the more bulletproof it's going to be, and we will accomplish those goals.
And then Reiner says Valley Table will play a Diamond Table. The problem is, and maybe in further sessions down the road, we can split it to Valley Division only, Diamond Division only.
Mm-hmm. We got to get there first.
First session, that's really restricting how much the prize pool is going to be if we split it up into a million different divisions. Also very tough to police, because unfortunately there's not just a Valley Table and a Diamond Table.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to have a Global, which is like a Valley, but not a Valley.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would even fit in any division.
Yep.
So then you're going to put a Valley Division, a Diamond Division, and a miscellaneous division.
Correct.
Like, it would just be too much.
Well,
right?
and I won't say it'll be too much. It's too much off the start.
Off the start,
right?
Yeah,
Once
exactly.
we kind of have the numbers to support further division, then we certainly will. We can go by the table, by the pocket size, we can divisionalize it however deep we want to go with it. But in order to do that, we have to have the number of players to support it. Because the last thing we want to do is put up, like Ben said, a miscellaneous division and have 4 players, right? We want to make it a giant success for those that are in that division, to play against people around the world, to have the availability to sharpen up skills and make a little money on the way, right? And progress with your own skill, your own talent, move up through the ranks, so on and so forth. So the long convoluted answer is yes, we can do it, but we have to start at the beginning first. And that's why we chose to, at least on the onset, we'll have 2 divisions. One is a 7-foot and then 8+. From there, we can further divisionalize as we get bigger.
Warren brings up a great point there. Do you have plans to create a junior teaching program? Absolutely, Warren. One of the biggest reasons I started teaching pool was because there's just not enough young people playing. I thought if I could learn how to teach well, I could give away free lessons to juniors and try to get them interested in the game. And I'm hoping this will give me a platform to do that.
Correct. And it's not just about us and what we create internally in terms of juniors. We want to take it beyond what obviously we have the capabilities of doing in-house. There are plenty of junior schools or junior camps throughout Canada and the United States that need support, that need help. That's where my goal is. That's where our intention is. Not just about what we create and what we can do. It's supporting what other people are doing. And I'll bring up one name, Alain Martel. Amazing guy. Runs one of the biggest junior programs in Eastern Canada. That's somebody we want to support. The Collado sisters in San Francisco, Emmeline and Eleanor, they also run their own junior programs. These are just a few of the things that we've already thought about, talked about, and certainly want to grow to the size that we can support their efforts. So it goes beyond just, what we have the capability of doing in-house.
But Warren, your point is great. And like Grant explained, we have kids. Specifically, we have boys. And boys love playing sports and games, and personally, my boy's only 7. He's so interested in playing, and I just think I wish it was worth it for him. So we want to make it worth it for him. So our biggest focus is juniors, get the kids into playing. Eventually, we get into the school system, right?
Well, and
pool needs to be more recognized before we can get into a school system. Right?
Well, and again, it's something that Ben and I have talked about, and I've got ideas rattling around in my brain, and it doesn't just end with us, right? I've had conversations with, I'll leave those guys unnamed right now, but with a couple of influential people all over the United States, some in Canada, on how we can effectively create that change that we need. But again, to kind of come full circle, we have to start at the beginning, and that's where we're at right now. We hope we get your support in our efforts, because I won't stop until I've accomplished the goal that I've set out for myself. And believe me, if I was to tell you, you'd think I was crazy. But one step at a time, one bite at a time. I've always believed in the acronym of how do you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. Right, and that's what I'm attempting to take on. Is I do want to eat that elephant, but I have to start at the beginning. So this is where we're at.
And thank you, Shirley. I'm really happy to hear that I inspired your granddaughter. I hope she keeps playing.
Indeed,
definitely need more women in the game as well. It's still a predominantly male game.
Very much so.
The more I could inspire some young girls to play pool, I mean, it's going to benefit the game greatly in the coming years for sure.
And Bradley says, how do you sign up? We're hoping, as we mentioned at the kind of the kickoff of this, we should have the website finished by the end of this week. So all the sign up, all that information will be there: the rules, the regulations, the camera, the rack, how to join. All of that information will be available on that website by we're shooting for the end of this week.
And so Shirley wants to know, can we explain more about the ghost? So I'll show you guys one rack at 8 ball quick.
Good little segue for Ben to jump up on the table. So I'm going to change the angle that we have here, showing us to the table, and Ben's going to get up. He'll run through a rack of I believe it's 8 ball first, Ben.
Yeah, we'll try 8 ball first.
So 8 ball first. This is how you play the ghost. Obviously, you're going to break first. And no matter what the layout of the table is, you take ball in hand. So Ben's going to take ball in hand. Hopefully he can remove the rack. If not, he'll have to work his way through it. Yeah, maybe not use the break cue on that shot. So after the break, once you have ball in hand, the whole object of the game is to obviously run through the rack. And there's a point per ball. So I'm not going to use the commentator's curse, but he's looking good to get a full 10 points here. And that's it. There you go. You've played the ghost. His score, 10 points. So I think he's going to run through a rack of 9 ball ghost, and that's it. That's as simple as what it is. You break, you get ball in hand. Now he made that look fairly easy, but of course you're looking at Ben Francis. He makes it all look easy, which is why he's playing and demonstrating as opposed to me. But that's how you play the ghost.
I got a good layout. It was easy. Except I miscued on the first shot. We won't talk about that. That I'm playing with Steph's cue. I won't tell her.
So here is the 9 ball ghost. And of course, like we said, we're going to have you get ball in hand as well on the 9 ball ghost. A little bit more challenging in the fact that you do have to still run them in order from 1 through to the 9 ball. Oh, Ben says he's actually going to miss this time so we can count the points. Oh, and he says, just kidding, ha ha ha. Making it look easy. This one might be the tester. The long bank. Never mind, it's in the heart. All right, here's the test.
This is where I'm going to miss.
This is the test. There it is. So playing the ghost on that game, Ben would earn a score of 6. So when you play, 6 out of a possible 9, when you're playing 15 games, you'll take the total number of points and enter that into Fargo or into whatever system we end up using, and that's what will determine your score.
Hopefully that gives you guys a ballpark idea what the ghost is. I know Shirley was asking, but it's pretty straightforward. You take ball in hand on the opener, and if you miss, you lose. And that's why it's such a great training game, because every game is about running out.
That's it. So, if you've got multiple situations, and this is where the break becomes really important, and knowing how to break and really getting into kind of being a fan of studying how to break better. Not just about the cues, but different techniques and power and so on and so forth. But it really teaches you about the game from start to finish, and it really sharpens up those skills.
And Brad, we can tweak the rules a little. If you guys want to make the 9-ball worth 2 points so that the game is worth 10, we can do that.
Yeah, of course.
We want your input so you guys can mostly run it the way you like it. I've always said, league dictates way too much on how it's played.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if the players want to play it a different way and they all agree, let them do it. It's your guys' money. You guys want to play 14 ball, I don't care. Somebody asked, can you play the Ghost One pocket? Absolutely.
Yeah. Those are all things that, as we mentioned maybe 10 minutes ago, all of those different style of games and types of games and so on and so forth, those are all things that, we'll look at after the pandemic is done. Once we don't have risk of being shut down, there is one aspect of this that we haven't brought up that I am going to bring up, because I want to look it straight in the mouth, and it is the fact that with this league, it is a prepaid session. Okay, and I can't emphasize that enough. And there is reasons behind it, not because we want to take the money and sit on it. What we're trying to ward against is players that will come into the league, play halfway through the season, perhaps they feel they're not going to make the top 25%, and then drop out.
Without paying.
And that is not something that logistically we could handle, we can kind of get a grasp on. We want to eliminate that right off the start.
Yeah, and the first week of play, we're going to tell you guys what the payouts are.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's it. We're not going to take any late registrations, let people do makeups. First week of league, however many players there are, we'll tell you guys the exact payouts.
Yep.
And with everyone prepaying, those payouts will not change.
Correct. So, I mean, it's the only reason I can see, I can't put my finger on a reason, but there may be one in cases of death or what have you. There I can see potential for the payouts to change a little bit, but beyond that, I can't find a reason, because playing the Ghost, you can play at home. If you get transported from a job, well, okay, you can still play the Ghost wherever you go.
Bring your tripod.
Yeah, and
all you need is a cell phone with a connection.
Mm-hmm. And we really want to try to cut out as many of the headaches as what we possibly can. And that was the biggest one for us is, we don't want to start a session in Division 3 that has 200 players, and middle of the session comes and half the field says, oh, I'll never make the top 25. Now they drop out and it affects the prize pool at the end. Mm-hmm. That's not what we're interested in. We're interested in saying at the start, January 4th, here's how many players are in the division. Here's what the payouts are going to be.
Mm-hmm. That's very key to what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Late entries should never be allowed. You got it. There's a clock and a calendar at their disposal.
Correct. And
at everyone's disposal.
Believe me, it doesn't matter who you are. When we set the cutoff is the cutoff. The day after the cutoff, sorry, you'll have to wait till the next session.
And that's the greatest thing about us running 3 sessions a year.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I mean, we're hoping you guys play all 3 sessions. I know I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'll play all 3.
Yeah, and I mean, it opens up the door for, to do internal league member only type of tournaments as well. It really opens up the door for a lot of different potential, and it's all stuff that we've talked about, thought about, but we want to start again at the beginning and put our best foot forward, work out whatever kinks need to be worked out, and then let's let it fly.
And tiebreakers, we're gonna work on that. It's most likely gonna come down to runouts.
Yep.
Tiebreakers, and then if it's still tied after that, you guys will split the prize pool more or less like a golf tournament.
Correct. So we're trying to pull ideas beyond just what's happening in pool. Because of what our end goal is, we want to pull from, a couple of different sports that have made it. They're there, and how did they get there, and how are they running it efficiently and as fair as what's possible.
Yeah, what's making the players happy? What's keeping the players coming back? That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And hopefully by like session 3, we have massive, massive fields.
Yeah.
And you guys can play for a boatload of cash. And at the same time, staying sharp while you're stuck at home.
Correct. And I mean, there's so many things. We'd probably have to run a full day Q&A just to talk about every single detail of what it is we're looking to accomplish.
And that's why we are hoping to get spammed with emails and messages, and
and share this
all
stream,
your questions.
Right? Share this to as many people, as many places as what you can. Our hope and desire off the start is obviously we want it to be big. We want it to be players from all over the world competing against each other. That would be phenomenal.
So I think a good plan for us would be to maybe do another one of these next week. Once we hopefully have the website up and running by then, we can go over this all one more time for you guys. We can answer any more questions that you guys think of.
Well, and hopefully we'll have some of the things that we don't have tonight. Those will all be kind of worked out,
right,
and decisions made on what system are we going to use, how are we going to track it, so on and so forth. That should all come this week.
And yeah, we're going to start with individual, because really all we can do right now is individual. So we just one step at a time, Patrick. But I think we'll cut this short as on account of it's just about dinner time, where we are.
Well, and I want to say, where do we tell people to go check this out? By the end of this week, there will be a lot of information that we put out this week on the Q Sports Live Facebook page. If you're watching on YouTube and you don't have a Facebook page, we have no way of communicating with you at this point unless you send us an email. qsportslive@gmail.com is the email that we want you to send into. But a lot of information will be released on Q Sports Live this week. And like Ben mentioned, we'll go ahead and plan for next Sunday, same time, same bat channel. And do this all over again.
So make sure, if you guys haven't already, make sure you click the like button as well as follow. And then while you're at it, make sure you guys subscribe on our YouTube channel.
And key importance, make sure you've liked the page.
Yeah, don't just follow.
Yeah, if you've only followed, you only get notifications when we go live. Liking the page, you'll get all the notifications every time we put a post out. So we'll make sure that there's a lot of information that goes out this week on the Facebook page, and then as registrations come in, there is another Facebook created already. It's the Q Sports Live International Pool League. You'll find that page on Q Sports Live. That will be a members only Facebook page, right? Whereas the Q Sports Live page is really open to anybody, because it's two separate divisions of Q Sports Live. So hopefully, we've kind of shown you what we're coming out with, that it's exciting for you. And if there is any questions from here, certainly send us a message. We're hoping we get spammed with it. Send a message to the Q Sports Live page or via email, and we'll certainly get back to you. I want to end this stream and just let you know, if you want something else to watch and follow tonight, this
I
is
think they
going
just
to be
started
okay.
about half hour ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
going to be awesome. Special guest interview with Oscar Dominguez and John Schmidt. Certainly going to be entertaining. So we're going to jump off. We're going to jump onto that. Again, any questions? Feel free, send us a message on the page, and we'll get back to you. Up until then, we'll see you next week, same time.
Next week, same time, guys. Thanks for tuning in.